Welcome to another exciting video from F1 Racing Now, your inside track to all things F1. The Mercedes team experienced a disastrous F1 campaign in 2022 as they were unable to adapt to the new season's regulation changes. It was the first time in the turbo hybrid era that the Mercedes team was totally out of contention for the championship, severely upsetting to say the least. The car was bouncing heavily with the porpoising issue, making it extremely difficult to drive and contend for the championship. Unfortunate for them, they didn't know about the issue until the first race of the season. They tested completely different body designs in the pre-season testing and went with something totally different to start the first race. They tried to surprise their rivals with an extremely radical design, but it didn't work out as planned, and after the big surprise failure, they struggled the entire year just to keep the pace. Mercedes sandbagging finally caught up with them. Throughout this video, we'll discuss what they were thinking and what happened, and if they can ever recover from such a blunder. But as always, before we proceed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon so you don't miss out on any exciting updates. So, what is sandbagging anyways? Actually, this is a tactic used by the majority of racing teams to hide their development process from their rivaling teams. Normally in F1, car launch and pre-season testing are the two instances where the car is exposed to its rivals before the start of the actual season. During pre-season testing, cars get real track experience for the first time, and the teams try to hide their true performance until the first race of the season. This helps to hide from the other teams what they are actually working with. So, most of the top teams try to surprise their rivals on race day with the help of this sandbagging. Okay, so what went so wrong for Mercedes back in 2022? Between 2014 and 2021, Mercedes won 7 consecutive drivers' titles and 8 consecutive constructors' titles. They were the most consistent performers of the turbo hybrid era. Within that period, several regulation changes were introduced, but nothing was as impactful as last year's. Mercedes has the habit of surprising their rivals in the first race of the season and have done so every year since 2014, as they've always been confident about their designs. They were always slow in pre-season testing, rarely topping the timesheets. Then they suddenly unleashed the full potential of the team, surprising all their rivals. So they continued this practice over several years, but last year something went horribly wrong. The 2022 chassis was a totally revolutionised body design which was entirely different from the previous works. Air that flows around the car and not so much as underneath it was a complete change-up. And it was one that had the majority of the designers scratching their heads, as it was difficult to understand the aerodynamics of these new designs. But all of the teams faced aerodynamic issues like porpoising when they really tested their designs on the track, and unfortunately for Mercedes, those issues were not identified during the wind tunnel simulations. But the majority of teams were successful in introducing a solution for the porpoising with the data they collected in pre-season, and they adapted extremely well for the remainder of the season, with the exception of Mercedes. Mercedes made a huge mistake and never tested the actual design before the season opener in Bahrain. Last year, all the teams went for a body design with big side pods, and the Mercedes W14 had side pods during the car launch as well. They tested a similar design at pre-season in Barcelona too. Actually, that's when all the teams found out about the porpoising. So, for the season opener in Bahrain, Mercedes showed up with a body design without side pods. That was the biggest talk of the weekend, and everyone expected a much stronger performance from the Brackley-based team with that design. It was such a radical idea compared to their rivals. Mercedes was super successful in sandbagging the previous years, and thus the expectation was high for Mercedes to come out performing really well. But before the weekend was over, everyone understood that this time it had failed. W13 had an extremely bouncing porpoising problem and could never get to a competitive level to challenge Red Bull or Ferrari at the top. The problem was, before introducing the car in the season opener in Bahrain, they only tested the design in the wind tunnels, so they weren't aware of the issues in that design until the race that weekend. If only they had tested the design in Barcelona, they would have known about the problem and had enough data and time to solve it. And so the problem was with the floor of the car, not just the side pods. But it took the entire first half of the 22 season to come up with a proper solution to the problem. So that is exactly how Mercedes' 2022 sandbagging attempt failed them. What do you think? Was it worth taking the risk? We want to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comment section below. So, did they learn a lesson from their past? Actually, we think the answer is no. They're going to continue with their sandbagging tradition this year as well. So far, we are not seeing them topping the timesheets, and they have tried as much as possible to hide their true potential. In the interview before the car launch, Mercedes engineers guaranteed that their W14 will be totally free of the porpoising problems of the past. And that has been confirmed during the pre-season testing. But anything can happen and everything can change in the blink of an eye with a surprise package like last year. Talking about their changes for the first race of the season, Toto Wolff confirmed Mercedes is, quote, still holding a little bit of performance in testing, and we're still hiding a little bit. Wolff goes on to say, there is a feeling of excitement because we got it wrong last year. We finished third and we definitely want to fight for the World Championship.
I think the car looks really good, aggressive, and I love the black livery.
But you need to stay humble also. He continued, obviously, mentally it's always difficult to start with a car that was not on par last year, and hopefully we'll see something that's better this year. This is where the excitement comes from, and equally, we want to fight to get it right. But the question is whether the Mercedes team is in a position to hide things without proper testing, as they failed miserably with their body design last year. Their extreme overconfidence pushed them towards destruction last year, and a similar thing could happen again this time around. So is sandbagging legal or not? F1 teams are actually banned from using clever tricks to hide new parts from their rivals and the media under new regulations introduced for the 23 season. These rules are stated as follows. If only one car will carry the major aerodynamic and bodywork components and assemblies that have not been run at a previous competition or TCC, that's testing of current cars, and are intended to be run at the competition, this car must be the one displayed to the media. Got that? What that means is that the Mercedes will not be allowed to do mega scale changes to their 23 Challenger before the race, except for a few minor level upgrades. So we think this will save Mercedes this time. So the practice sessions have started and the Mercedes cars have yet to top the timesheets. After the second practice session, Hamilton and Russell sat 8th and 13th respectively. If they are still hiding their true performance, it has to be tested at least at final practice, as no one knows what type of problems can come up when unleashing the full performance of the car. Both Red Bull and Ferrari do appear to have shown full power, as their drivers clearly sit at the top of the timesheets. So we don't know whether their surprise has gone wrong again this year or not. However, Mercedes is not going to be the biggest surprise of the race, as the Aston Martin is topping the time charts during the first two practice sessions. It's Saturday, and this is the last opportunity for Mercedes to reveal anything that they're currently hiding. What do you think about Mercedes' sandbagging attempts? Has it been good for them throughout the years or bad? Would you do the same if you were in charge of the team? Share your thoughts now in the comment section below. A big thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news. F1 Racing Now, your inside track to all things F1. We'll see you in the next one.